Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Cup of Joe with Joe and Joe podcast. I am here alone this time, I know, don't worry, don't fret, other Joe will join us in just a minute here. Just want to let you guys know that this next hour and 40 some odd minutes is a remaster of our first 12,000 Year Blood War episodes, so you guys are going to get some cleaner audio, some better visuals, and overall just a more compact and enjoyable experience. There will be timestamps in the description, so you guys can jump around to whichever part you would prefer, and with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, see you on the other side. Love you. Mwah! So we've been waiting for this for over 2 years since the announcement, 10 years since the end of the adaptation back in March of 2012, I think was the final episode, 366 or whatever the fuck it was. So right off the bat, you know a little bit about 1,000 Year Blood War. I know absolutely fuck all. But, dude, this first episode, it's just like, bang, 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 bang. It's like, oh, what the, hang on, hey, can I get a, gee, fuck, okay, oh my god. I'm like, can I get a footing in this? For it really is, one might think, oh, I can just hop in on episode 1. A fool! An absolute fool. Because you jump into this and you get a quick... I love the brief reintroductions we get with all the characters.
Yes.
But my god, it's like, you gotta fucking know that... You gotta have some knowledge of this shit because, oh my god, it's just... It throws you in and it moves at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It feels like the people behind this are just like, okay... So we've got 4 cores to do this. Awesome. We're going to put some super amazing quality, which we will talk about in a second, because fuck me. And they're just like, all right, setup. We can cram that into like the first couple of episodes, right? And then Kubo's just sitting back there just going like, but what if we did it in 1? And they're just like... And they're just like, oh.
Bro, I had that pictured in my head.
This first episode, I think, is titled The Blood Warfare, and fuck, dude, it's some blood warfare going on already.
A lot of stuff happens, as you can probably tell from the first episode.
Oh, yes, indeed. But yeah, so let's talk about the, do you want to talk about story for this first? Do you want to talk about like the production and how it all looks and all that sort of crap?
I think looks, because a lot of people say Bleach is like 99% aesthetic, 1% story. And although I think that's an exaggeration, aesthetic is very important, ladies and gentlemen, right? Like, come on, Joe. Fucking aesthetic, very, very important. And this fucking episode, or I guess the show from fucking now on, Jesus Christ, the aesthetic is so fucking clean. It is such a vibe. If lo-fi anime beats had an anime, it would be this anime.
The style of it, yes, but the action inside of it, no. But yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. It's amazing thinking back, because you and I did a rewatch of the Fullbringer arc, and that's like the stepping stone that you have between the original art style of Soul Society, Yomiko Moon, and all that other crap, and then you get Fullbringer, which fully takes advantage of, instead of being like the fucking box 4:3 ratio, it's like, oh, 16:9, we got full screen now, baby. I remember seeing that for the first time, being like, oh, smoother colors and everything, and it was like actually using computer generated shit, and I was like, oh, interesting. And then this, fucking 10 years later, the colors in this shit, oh my god, the cityscapes, especially of like Karakura Town, and the stoplights.
Bro, somebody fucking went hard on those stoplights. Like, that motherfucker got a stoplight fetish. I don't know what was going on. He really liked them.
That's a fucking... I want a t-shirt with that. I want Bleach 1,000 Year Blood War logo, and then underneath of it, just in quotes, some motherfucker went hard on them stoplights. Because holy shit, they looked incredible. How does all this mesh together so well? Because like some of the hollow shit, you can tell they're CGI, but it's really, like, it's not exceptional, but it's really good. Like, the blending of it makes it really cool, look really cool. Some of the movement of some, like when they're all standing on the building at the top, and then you do like the quick 360, and you see some of them encapsulating the building. Some of them look a little bit like, yeah, it's a NPC in the background, but other than that, oh my god, they look incredible. And it's like the melding of like the Shinkai realistic cityscape shit with like the stylized lighting that they got going on, and like some of the CGI hollows, and then just the 2D characters. It all blended together so fucking well, and I was like, this looks pretty fucking sick so far. Speaking of sick shit, the fucking music in this show, Joe. God damn, like, some of the music in this is just so, it's operatic, and like not at all what I would think of when I like think of Bleach, but it fits so well. And I'm just like, fuck, dude, this all fits so well. I've heard most of it in the trailers that we've gotten, but in context of the actual show, it just fits so incredibly well. This is just going to be us saying how much we love this, because we're, as everyone knows or should know, again, we are self-proclaimed Bleach sluts. So, there's that. Take our opinion with a grain of salt.
yeah, it's not just the soundtrack, but the sounds
Mm.
are amazing.
Dude,
The guttural sounds when something goes through, when something pierces another person's body. The swords. Oh my god. The oh my god.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Like
amazing.
those are incredible. When Orihime first appears, she does her
Mm-hmm.
healing thing on the Soul Reapers that just came. They beefed it up. You added some new sound design to that, but it's still like the original sound like layered in there.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh, that's so fucking cool. So like seeing like the little bit of love that they're putting in and like updating everything, because again, as we've said, it's been 10 years. So getting all this shit is just so cool to see all the updated stuff. So updated character designs, which we get all those nice little, when we're reintroduced to them, those little like splash pages. I love the style that they've gone for with this, where it's very much like after Into the Spider-Verse, everything is just way less afraid. There's so
Yes.
much more like pop
Yes.
art with it.
It's grungy
Yes.
too. It's grungy in a good
Yeah.
way.
Show looks good. We know that. What are the enemies? What is Uryu? Quincy. There it is. Self-proclaimed
Joe-
bleach slut my ass.
Basically, Ichigo gets attacked, which he then finds out is a Quincy, and that's the big what the fuck's going
because
on.
as far as we know, Uryu is supposed to be the last Quincy, right? Him and his father were like the last
Yes.
ones that were ever around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's like, what the fuck? And there's the cool shit where Yamamoto's vice captain, he
Vice
gets
captain, yeah.
fucking bodied immediately. And you're just like, oh shit. And he tells Yamamoto, hey, they can steal our Bankai. And you're like, what the fuck? Ichigo, of course, him being him, he might not necessarily have his Bankai stolen. God, it's gotta be because he's part Quincy, right? Like that's the entire reason he can. There's literally no other reason, so it's gotta be that. Anyway, we get at the very end the briefest glimpse of the Quincy King. Just sitting there, absolutely man-spreading for all to see, not giving a fuck. And it just ends on him. And again, he's got those amazing blue highlights on his face, and Ichigo's got these like red and orange highlights on his face. And I'm just like, oh, the fucking lighting dichotomy between these two is incredible. I love it. Fuck, this show is back. It looks incredible. It crammed all the setup that I think we'll need for a little bit into this one episode. Because my god, there's a lot that happens in this episode. And we are fucking here for it.
Ages like a fine wine, baby. Bleach. So too. Getting right into it.
I still can't get over the fucking look of this show, Joe. It's so beautiful.
I know, I know. I mean, it's funny how, like, obviously this episode still looked great, but you realize with this episode, like, how hard they went with the first. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. They definitely were like, okay, so we gotta show these people we're back. This episode, it still looks fucking phenomenal. Like, the art direction for the series now, it's just that good. It's so clean.
With this episode, we get the opening and ending. Let's go in order, right? So this opening happens. I think it got 10 seconds in, and I was out loud go, oh fuck. I was just like, oh damn, this is a clean opening. The color palette of the white and pink with like the upbeat punky song. I was like,
French kiss to all of it. Or chef kiss. Also French kiss, maybe French chef kiss. So on to the actual episode. We get reintroduced to Nell. I didn't expect her to come back so soon. Like, I had seen her in some of the trailers, and I was like, oh, hey, look at that. There's Nell. I wonder when that happens. I fucking love the pacing of the show right now. Again, I don't know how much of the story we're going through. I don't know how much if this is good or bad or whatever compared to like the superior manga readers, but I fucking love how quickly they're like setting up this shit and getting you introduced to like how things are going. Nell comes about and we get reintroduced to Hueco Mundo and kind of the structure that's going on there, because now we see that Belle was like the leader of Hueco Mundo, and then she kind of got a little bit fucked up and taken by this strange man with this awesome blue power, and we totally don't know what any of this is.
when you learn his name and you see how it's spelled, I can't wait for your reaction. It is going to, I can just imagine it in my head now, and I'm already laughing. He's got the most ridiculous name.
Can't wait. So we're just moving through at a clip. Obviously, Ichigo is just like, we gotta go into Hueco Mundo and help all these people because they're getting fucked up by these people that we don't know. And even though the Hollows were his enemies for like all of time, he's still just like, no, people are in trouble. Gotta go and save them.
For Ichigo, it's no hesitation. He's helping. I like how Uryu sticks true to himself, and he's like, look, I can't help Iran cars. Like, it's almost like you roll your eyes like, oh, you know, this guy being all stuck up. But like, sticking true to his character. After all this time, they get the character right. I mean, or he makes comment about how good friends Ichigo and Udio have become. Foreshadowing. Very, very
What?
nice. And just Chad's simple, do I even need to ask? Like,
Yeah.
it all just, oh, it feels like a normal group of friends.
Such good, solid characterization between all these guys. So they all get into Hueco Mundo. We see all the hollows that have been like rounded up and are being taken to the leader of the Quincy people in Hueco Mundo. I simultaneously want to punch him in the face, but also think he's kind of fucking cool.
Maybe you're starting to notice it, Joe, but the name of the army has a German name. A lot of all these Quincy's that you're seeing have German names.
Oh my god.
What do you think it's supposed to mimic?
Joe.
Yes.
I swear to God, if we go back to 2003 and we full metal this shit, Joe, I swear to God.
I can't confirm nor deny what happens in the series.
What is their obsession with the Nazis? Like every single time, you got fucking Attack on Titan, you got Full Metal 2003, now we've got Bleach doing it. I swear to Christ, Joe. There seems like there's a lot going on. Like you have the shit going on in Soul Society with the disappearance of people. You have the research and development division that are doing their own shit. Like I guess it's related. I'm assuming all this shit's related, but like they're looking at their own stuff on like all their fucking monitors and shit. And then you have the stuff that Ichigo is doing with his gang. You had the new Soul Reapers. And now we're getting this shit with Nell and the other guy, not Don T'Chaka, but his friend who's still there and always makes me uncomfortable because he just puts a fucking loincloth. Yeah, him.
Shay.
So now we have the introduction of those guys. And then we have all this shit going on with the Stern Ritters.
That's the name of honestly, now I'm second guessing it.
Yeah, they say to the Captain Yamamoto, they're just like, the Von der Reich are here to fuck your shit up. Exact quote, by the way.
Stern Ritters are a specific class.
They're like the upper echelon, right? They're like the...
That's the foil to the 13 guard.
Yes. I don't know if this guy's a part of the higher up shit, but the guy that we're introduced to later on in the episode, who kind of fucks the shit up of the Arrancar from the Hueco Mundo arc, that's pretty cool. Not the act of it, but it's just cool to see what he does. I'm not, you know, I feel like I'm digging myself into a hole here. I just want to specify. Let me speak clearly. Hang on, I'm going to stand up. Let me speak clearly.
God.
I am not saying it is okay for a man to manifest a sword and then bitch slap a woman. However, in this one instance, it did look really fucking cool and super, super slick. So anyway, let's just keep on moving past that and hope that we don't get canceled. So what did you feel about the bitch slap, Joe?
Checks cue card.
Yeah, there you go.
It was sick. I mean, the message was sent in the first episode, like 1,000-Year Blood War, like the name has a meaning. I mean, the second episode already, we're racking up bodies. Let me tell you.
The vice captain, lieutenant for Yamamoto.
That's what I wanted. This is my second favorite thing. Holy shit. Look, Sasakibe, look, we'll all say it. It's fine, right? You don't really learn about him. You do know Yamamoto. You know, for somebody to be his vice captain, that had to be a cool fucking guy, right? That had to be somebody that this man trusted with his life. Honestly, he's at like the crematorium and he's just staring at the big pile, and then they have that moment. They're in like a different realm and they're looking at each other. Emotion and rage I could feel behind it. I was like, I'm going to explode.
I love the quick little edit where he goes, light the fire, and then it immediately cuts to turning on like a burner on a stove. Art style is cool, pacing is fast, it's keeping me engaged, but even in all of that, it's doing some cool little things here and there. I really appreciate that. The emotional impacts are there. It is not just insane action fighty. I mean, it's mostly that. It's, you know, it's like 80% that and then 20% everything else. But I do appreciate some of these emotional moments and those fun little edits that are thrown in there. It's very nice. Flashing back over to this fuckboy with the glasses. He takes care of, what's the name? Do you know the name of the three other...
They're cool. They're like the cool female Rancars. They didn't get too much screen time during the Rancor arc, but they have some pretty badass freaking powers and awesome character design.
But our little fuckboy kind of fucks them up. And then Ichigo arrives just in time to see them all dead. And then we get the nice little standoff between the staring contest of those two. And I'm just like, ooh, I wasn't ready for a bigger battle this soon. But hey, I'm hoping that happens and I fucking welcome it, dude. I'm so excited.
What was your reaction to like Burn dying and the other guy just dying right away. Like these people that are
Oh,
introduced as if they're about to be like main characters, and it's just like bye.
when the first guy died, who had his arm like decapitated, not decapitated, amputated, not amputated. The guy who had his fucking arm blown off in the end of last episode, when he had his head blown off, I was just like, ah. So I guess he wasn't anyone important. So I guess Eburn would kind of like take his place and then become like the next high up level informant or wherever the fuck. And then he gets fucking destroyed. And I was just like, oh, okay. This
Yeah.
Blood War is really living up to its name, huh?
It's just the beginning. Oh god, it's just the beginning. The ending song. It's fine. I'm not everybody this was like the one everybody was really, really looking forward to. But it's an alright song. It's fine. Visuals alright too. It's like all the different Zanpakutos.
Yeah, it might grow into me, but as of right now, it is. I don't care. It's a fine for me. OP, I'll probably watch that a few more times. EP, nah.
Episode 3 might be the best episode of Bleach I have ever seen in my entire life. Oh
All right.
my god, Joe. Holy crap. They have been playing us. They're like, oh, you thought we reached my final form? And then they just fucking whip this out, and you're like, what is happening?
You have opinions that I do not share, but we will get into that. Dude, this thing is so fast paced.
We are cruising at a clip. There are things in here that are anime original and not in the manga. Specifically in this episode, the manga, Uryu never talks with his dad. That's not like a main point. That was an added in thing. I love the direction where they went with that. That was so sick.
Yeah, that just made sense to me. I didn't even think about that not being a thing. To be honest, I thought the anime original concepts shit was going to be when the J started like absorbing shit and became like the fucking Kevin 11 monster powered up version of himself. I was just like, what in the actual fuck? This guy looks so cool, and you made him look like such shit immediately.
It is a bit goofy. But I didn't think it was stupid. I was like, I'm fucking with this. This is fucking intense.
I was fucking with it when he became like fucking Blue Angel. I was like, that's kind of cool. I like that transformation sequence. And when he becomes Kevin 11, I was a little bit like, what's going on here? And do we have, I'm curious when this chapter was written, and if it was written after 2012, when the fucking hulking combination of all the left arms, that guy comes out and just starts beating the shit out of this guy. Did Kubo watch Avengers before he drew this? You see it, right? I'm willing to bet Kubo's an Avengers fan.
I like thinking that Josh Whedon loves Bleach.
Joss Whedon is just sitting there, like, on the set of Avengers, just leafing through, like, volume 47 of Bleach, just being like, that's kind of funny. Hey, visual effects team, what if we did this instead? The fight scene that they have between the two of them, really brief. Getting back to his transformation, he's absorbing its reishi. And obviously Wakamundo is completely made out of reishi. Orihime's abilities utilize reishi, hence why her protective shield is breaking down. And then Chad himself, when he started absorbing the shit and like peeling away from other, like, our characters, I was like, that seems a little OP. How are we going to fight against something like that?
Yeah, the direction this thing's gonna go in, Joe. I think you're gonna see it coming, but not believe it's gonna happen, and then it's gonna happen, and you're gonna be like, "Holy shit, it happened!"
Okay, and Yamamoto, meanwhile, is just like, yeah, we have no reason to believe they'll actually give us 5 days, so we should get ready, like, fucking now. And then, Kurotsuchi, he's talking to him, and he's just like, hey, I warned you about some of this stuff. And also, we learn, between the two of them, what happened to all the other,
Ryoka.
There we go. Yeah, where that mystery was introduced to us in the first episode, and I was sitting here just like, ooh, what's this gonna be? Like 17 episodes down the line, we'll finally get answers to this shit. And then in this one, it's like, nah, it's Miori. He had to do something with them to balance out the fucking world of the living to the Soul Society because
Had to kill his own people.
yeah. And I was just like, oh, I guess that answers that immediately.
The biggest line is when Mayuri says, "The man you failed to kill 1,000 years ago." That's like the big line where it kind of, this is where the story takes off. How did that make you feel, kind of knowing that there was a history between the two?
I enjoy shit like that where it's like you're operating in a world that you've been in for a little while, and then you just kind of like, all right, also here's some other shit that's like, it's been around and it's been here, and you never really quite knew about it, but it doesn't contradict anything yet, so it's fine. Seems Yamamoto had a chance to put this to an end 1,000 years ago, and he didn't quite do that, and now it's coming back to hunt him. And come back it does. The first blast of, I guess it's Reishi, like the blue pillars of fire that are exploding out of the Soul Society. When the people started like gathering around it, I was just like, I don't know if I would want to get close to that shit. You don't know if it's like irradiated or if it's like gonna explode or it's gonna like advance even further, like keep on getting big. It's like, or it could also just be housing people who are going to fuck your shit up. And we get the introduction of the Stern Ritters.
Moving out a clip, as I said. Do you know who we get to see in this episode? Know who?
It's Rankiku.
Yes, but there's even one more special. Starts with an R.
Renji?
No, Rukia!
God, fuck, there are too many R's!
Reggie!
I was like, didn't we see Rukia? I guess we haven't seen Rukia.
No, this is the first time you see Rukia, and I was in my bed like, Rukia! Like, holy fuck.
You're right. There's a lot of people who start with R.
They all look amazing. We get, one of the vice captains die. We learn the history of what happened to all the Quincy's and, the fact that basically Soul Reapers tried to pull a Holocaust. Now the Quincy's are like, all right, part 2, baby, the revenge.
Mm-hmm. And here's the other thing. When the first 2 Soul Reapers that we met in episode 1 meet up with some higher up guy, he's explaining to them the history as we learn. He's talking about like war and shit like that, and how it's like Soul Reapers, originally called Balancers, I guess, they save the souls of the Hollows to then send them to Soul Society to preserve the balance of shit, whereas Quincy's just want to outright destroy them, and they ended up fighting over that, and the Soul Reapers got rid of them. I want to delve into the philosophy of the Quincy's practices. Like, I want to understand why they think destroying Hollows is better, or why it's like their only option, because clearly they didn't see fit to have any kind of compromise with the Soul Reapers. Like, no deal was struck. It seems like right now it's either you're all destroy Hollows or you're all preserve Hollows for the cycle. It matters if you destroy them, but why would it matter if you just transfer the souls? Like, I don't understand right now why the Quincy's are so, we cannot compromise on this, we must destroy them, and then they have to fight a war of this. I get the revenge thing because the Soul Reapers like fucked them and sent them into the weird abyssal dimension. The Dreamy Eyes literally says like in war both sides think they're justified. And right now I don't feel like we have any justification for the Quincy's fighting originally. That's where my brain is at right now with all this like shit going on. And I know that might be a little too cerebral for some shonen fans.
No, you have a good brain, Joe.
Thank
good
you.
Brain.
I like to think so. I'm a bit of a narcissist.
That's I know you are.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
I came into it very, very hot. Like, I love this thing. Like, it was all over the place. I loved it. I loved how intense it was. I can't wait to rewatch it. When we started this, you sounded a little like, hey, it was fine. But you sound like you just talked for a good, 20 minutes about how great it was.
I talked about things that I'm interested in. Kevin 11, Mr. J. The fight scene between him and Ichigo, I don't really know what I was expecting, but right now it's nothing all that special. It's quite elementary going into it so far. Again, this could just be the beginning of it. I have no idea. The pace at which we're clipping through a lot of this shit, I do feel like we should have some more breathing room between some of this stuff. Like the reveal of what happened to the Ryoka, the invasion, how it was like immediately the king was just like, Ichigo is detained or he's busy over there. Sick, let's get the fuck in there. And then immediately like, they're all there and they're just fucking shit up. It's great for shock value right now and just being like, holy fuck, the Soul Society is getting wrecked. But it felt like this was a bit more of a getting us from there to there, but like good setup keeps you invested and makes you really care and also doesn't feel like setup. Right now I'm just kind of like, it's not as strong as like I'd say the first 2 were. I'm not saying it's bad by any means. I'm just kind of like, I'm doing a bit of a shrug here, Joe. You can't see it because it's the podcast format, but if you could, just understand that my 2 shoulders are going up simultaneously. Bleach episode 4, baby. We get the continuation of the invasion of the Soul Society. We meet a couple of US Stern Ritters. We're seeing what the hell is going on. The shots that we get immediately after the invasion began, dead bodies, body parts, and blood splatters just littering the Soul Society. I'm just like, this looks like war. This is fucked. The other Stern Ritter, I think Bambi is like E or F, and then the spike faced one.
As Nost.
As Nost.
Yeah, I believe A or F. I think they make the gender non-binary, so you can't tell.
Okay,
Um,
because that was the thing. I thought they were female from just the headshot
yes.
images, and then
Yep.
you look at them and they don't fucking speak, and I like that. I'm just like, ooh,
Yeah.
oh,
Kubo wanted to make a character where you couldn't, yeah, you can't really know who they are. M and Bambi, my two favorites, my two absolute favorites. And I'm so happy we get you that you're kind of liking them too, because I love them.
so far most of the Stern Ritters look pretty awesome. Like I've loved J, E, and F. I'm loving. Some of the other ones are a little bit like more generic. Like Dreamy Eyed Man, he looks a little bit more generic. Most of this episode is very good at like keeping the tension going throughout everything that has been built up from the past couple of episodes. Something that I did find a little like, huh? Is when Renji and Byakuya are taken on as Nod or whatever the fuck their name is. Byakuya just kind of goes like, all right, I'm gonna fucking use my Bankai. And Renji's like, but we don't know they could take our Bankai, they're gonna steal it away. And he's just like, yes. So if that happens, you must use your Bankai. And I just kind of like, I put my finger on my lips and I made a pondering face. I wrinkled my frown and I was just sitting there thinking about that for a second. And I was like, that doesn't seem like a very smart thing to do there, Byakuya. And then he's just like, all right, Senbou and Sakura time, baby, let's fucking go. And it looks so fucking good in the new series. Holy shit, all the swords rising up out of the ground and then just shattering and all this shit. And then Asnod is just, you can see the fucking creepy, horrifying smile behind their mask and the crinkle of their eyes. And they're just like, all right, time to use my fucking Bankai Pokeball, and just absorbs that shit. And then of course you have other people like Hitsugaya, Doggy Face, and Stealth Captain.
Very fun.
Soy Phone, thank you. All four of them. All their Bankai. Stolen. Which that's the other thing that we find out in this episode. They're not sealing away their Bankai. They're stealing it. Which, I mean, I feel like we kind of already knew. Because like in the first episode, a Rancor man who isn't actually in a Rancor or whatever the fuck. The guy who Ichigo fights when he first breaks out of that thing. He's like, your Bankai is now mine. Yeah. And so like we kind of got the context of like, oh yeah, they're taking the Bankai, they're not sealing them. But I guess the captains never knew that.
No.
And then
they didn't have that information.
No, they did not, because then Maori is just like, ah, they're not sealing it, they're stealing it. And it's like, oh, that T is very important in there. And he comes running out and he's just like, you fools. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm with Maori on here. Why in the fuck would you activate your Bankai knowing that they can mess around with that shit? I would want more information before doing something like that. All those captains, they're at fault. Also, we get a bit of Rangiku action in this episode. Very brief, but it was pretty cool. Using some sort of Hado, I think. Drawing weird symbols and communicating to all the other captains and people, just being like, hey, they're stealing our Bankais, just FYI. So what? Maybe don't use those. And everyone's just like, oh shit. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen now to those four who had their Bankai stolen. Because it's like, can you return the Bankai? Are they gone forever? Are they going to develop new powers in the absence of those other ones? I don't know what the fuck's going to happen, but because that's four really fucking powerful people that now don't have the most powerful abilities, which is cool. I just hope they explore it in full and it's not just Ichigo arrives and is like, all right, here are your Bankai back, bitches. And they're like, oh, sweet, and now let's fuck them up. Like, that would be boring. Hopefully they do something cool with that. Speaking of Ichigo, though, we cut to Hueco Mundo, where one of the science guys calls Kisuke trying to get through to Ichigo, which I just fucking... It's so funny, the idea that they're just like, let's just call this guy on a cell phone. And Urahara picks up and is like, hello, Ichigo secretary here. What can I do for you? And it's just like, hey, can you pass me through to Ichigo? He doesn't call himself the secretary, obviously, but that's just so fucking funny to me. It's one of those instances of like, what the fuck is the technology and world building of the Soul Society? Because they're like very clearly portrayed as like an ancient, like feudal Japan-esque society. And at the same time, they also have like fucking future tech in here. And it's like, you just use some insane Hado to communicate to all the other captains, yet you call Urahara on a fucking cell phone. It's weird. And it's such a nitpicky thing, but it's so fucking weird to me.
Oh, it's the soul phone. Don't you know about the soul phone, man?
Isn't that from, like, the first arc?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's... whatever. It's fine. It's just dumb to me. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? Ichigo's still fighting Stern Ritter J. and he still looks like fucking Kevin 11, but now he's really angry because he keeps shooting his fucking Pokeball at Ichigo, and he's like, what the fuck? Won't this thing work? And I'm just like, hey, why do you keep trying, idiot? Just kill him. Like, what? It doesn't work. Move on to plan B. Do something else. Kisuke just comes over and is like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Blasts a hole in him and is like, all right, Ichigo, here, take this call. You gotta get the fuck into the Soul Society. And so he goes through the Dongai or whatever is it still the Donkai, or did that like get exploded or some shit? I can't remember. He's running through there on the phone with the science dude. I love the little moment where we see another science dude in the back as they're like all typing away on all their stupid fucking bullshit machines. And in his inner thoughts, he's just like, oh, okay. Ichigo's on his way. Everything's going to be fine. For whatever reason, they can't get his Bankai. He's going to save us all like he's done in the past. That's kind of cool. The idea that Ichigo has really like because like at this point he should. After he's defeated Aizen, yeah, you'd probably know who the fuck this guy is. So it's just cool to me that they have that little bit of world building in there where it's like some characters, it's just like, oh, Ichigo? You mean that ultra badass who saved us in the past? He's coming back? Fucking sick. Like, that's us, man. That's us in there, pressing all those stupid bullshit buttons, just being like, fuck yeah, dude, the goat's coming back.
The one from the textbooks.
Yes. But as it turns out, Mr. J isn't dead. He seals off the shit. He kind of fucks up Chad and Orihime and Kisuke and all that sort of crap. Also, Kisuke just happens to have some fucking computer terminal with him, and he's like analyzing shit. I'm just like, I don't, okay, fine. He gets the information and he tells Ichigo about it. Okay, the technology clashing. It's just like whatever. I don't fucking care at this point. It's all fucked. Like if Kisuke whipped out a pair of fucking like VR goggles, I think I'd find that more believable. So we leave off the episode with Stern Ritter J still very much alive, a little bit holier than usual, but still very much alive, and he's trapped him in the maybe Dongai, whatever, I don't fucking know. And everyone else in Soul Society is kind of getting wrecked. I'm watching the OPs for this show, Joe. I never watch OPs for show. I never give a shit, but for whatever reason.
So nice.
Yeah, I think it's the aesthetic of it. Because, like, and also the song is growing on me. Every time I hear it, I'm liking it more and more. And I think it's just the aesthetic of this. Because, like, most OPs are just fucking, an anime OP. It's all over the fucking place. You have colors everywhere. You have characters everywhere. You have, like, cut, like, smash cut. Fucking open hand, reaching out for the sun, grabbing the sun. Boom, the beat drops. You smashing the other thing. Two friends standing back to back in a fucking field. The camera's whizzing around, doing all this shit. It's just, like...
You got that so accurate.
I mean, it's exactly what every fucking anime opening is. And like this one, I'm not saying it's any different, but it's like the stylation on top of it, I just really enjoy. I think like the toning down of all the insane, it's like it's pink with the black and white. And for whatever reason, I fucking love the way it looks. Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War Arc, episode 5. Moving fast. A lot of shit is happening. We are introduced to approximately 47.32 new Sternritters. Don't ask me who they were. I don't fucking know. Most of them die by Kenpachi. Always good to see him fucking up some bitches, so that's nice. Oh, Yamamoto gets a bit of a moment, just a little bit. Just a very small, very insignificant moment. And we also see the backstory of his lieutenant, whose name...
Sasakibe.
There we go. That was cool. I didn't expect to see young man Yamamoto in this. That was weird, dude. Like, when they first showed him, I was just like, wait a minute. Is this bearded man? What the fuck is going on here? He didn't have a beard. He just had the mustache. I was like, what the fuck is this?
We'll get more of that because obviously it hints at the history of him, and now maybe you heard the name. It's like Yuha Ba is how it's pronounced.
What? Wait, what?
Yuha is how you pronounce it. Since they have a history, Yamamoto and him, you get a little bit more of kind of that flashback typey stuff. Relatively soon, maybe. You never know. Because Yamamoto, up until now, has just been like this. He didn't need a backstory. You were just like, oh, you don't fuck with him.
He's just the guy who you look at and you're like, yeah, you have thousands of years worth of experience and stories behind every wrinkle on that wrinkly fucking forehead of yours. So I'm very much like, okay, let's see where this goes. Ichigo is still trapped in the fucking Pokeball. Big upsetty spaghetti there. Sternritter J gets cut in half by an unseen figure. The slash that like cut him down was red. Urara. Like he uses his Blood Red Princess as his Shikai and then his Bankai we haven't seen yet. But I'd imagine it would also be red. So at first I was like, is that him? Did he decide to actually fight? But then the blade just goes next to his head. And you're just like, oh, okay, so who's this? And clearly he seems to recognize the person. So I'm like, all right, don't know what's going on with them. Ichigo, just again, stuck in the Pokeball. He's doing his best. We see he's like starts to green flames are like kind of coming off of him. Don't really know about that. Oh, Big Monkey Boy. I forgot about Big Monkey Boy. It's so sad. Big Monkey Boy doing Big Monkey problems. He fucking them up.
I mean, it looks like somebody might have been controlling him.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I forgot that was even in the manga. It's not like a big thing, but it's cool to kind of see him again. You don't really see him since like the Soul Society arc.
I loved seeing the perspectives of all the other characters when they're all just like, "Oh my God, Ichigo's on his way. We're all saved," and then the
Yeah, isn't
immediate
that great?
flip of them being like, "Ichigo's spiritual pressure is gone." In the Garganta, I think is what they call. They call it
Yeah,
like two things.
Garganta.
But yeah, and then everyone's just like, he's so we don't know where he is. Oh yeah, that's what else happened in this. The beginning of this episode, which I found incredibly boring because it's ambiguous Stern Ritter, who I guess is a guy now. Renji and Byakuya are there facing off against Stern Ritter, whatever the fuck. It's a lot of talking. I mean, it's a lot of just sitting there talking about platitudes and fear, and there's a cool scene of a bunch of flies crawling up Byakuya. Like, that was pretty cool. But other than that, it was pretty boring, and I was just like, can we get on to something else? And then another Stern Ritter comes in and knocks Renji across the world. He just goes flying around. Big oof. Beginning of this episode,
I really liked the beginning of the episode. I love the voice. The voice was perfect for the character. His power is fear, and that's kind of what those spears do when they pierce you. They pierce you with fear.
I thought it was ambiguous that it was just Byakuya was just scared because he was facing such a
No, his power is fear. I think his letter is F.
F, yeah.
Fear. So you get a little bit of that, and yeah, I liked it just because I feel like when I read it in the manga, it felt like, wow, this person's horrifying. I liked the transition to the screen. I felt like they were getting the character really right. I get what you're saying with regards to pacing, where it's kind of like you're moving so fast and out of nowhere you're crawling, and you're like, what? You're like, what the hell is this? I personally enjoyed it. And again, everybody just has different opinions on it. But yeah, so that was interesting. And then, yeah, Renji gets destroyed. My girl Rukia gets fucked up.
Oh,
You don't
yeah,
even see
Rukia
her
gets got.
fucking put up a fight.
Yeah, like, everyone is, like, supposedly, I don't believe for a second, but, like, Byakuya dies to this, to Fear Dude Asnod because he used his Bankai against him. Renji gets kicked into the next town over. Rukia gets stabbed from behind because she turned her back on some bitch, and the bitch was just like, hey, don't you do that to me. Stabby stab. It's not looking good in this whole society. Everyone is getting absolutely rocked.
More and more, you're getting the vibe of where this story's going and how really intense this arc is. A scene where Ichigo's on the phone and he has to hear everybody
It's so
screaming. Him kind of getting angry and being like, I'm not going to let any one of you die. I was like, oh, there's my fucking man right there.
He's still trapped in that goddamn Pokeball. Other than that, though, Kenpachi, real quick, before we get on to Yamamoto. Kenpachi,
Yo,
awesome.
did that make your day?
That made me so happy.
Okay.
I've never been like a massive fan of Kenpachi. I like him as the side character. There's never really a focus on him. I don't think he'd be that interesting unless you like massively change or add a bunch of stuff to him. Him just rocking up with the three Stern Ritters to Yuha, and it's just like, hey, I fought these three guys, and you just montage the three of them. And after like the beginning with Byakuya and Asnod, I was like, oh, thank Christ, we're starting to actually burn through a couple of these guys. So I was like, good. And then he just like, yeah, you're the leader, clearly. And he's like, uh-huh. And then he's like, all right, I'm gonna fight you. And he just brings the sword down, and the U-Haul. I'm just gonna fucking call him U-Haul, Joe. My brain can't rectify the two in my head. He brings the sword down on U-Haul's arm, and then there's a big explosion, and then we cut over to one of the other lieutenants, and he's fighting Sterner O because he's overkill, and she's like, I get more powerful with every character that I kill, and I'm like, oh my god, you emo hot topic. And Yamamoto is just like, it's you. So I'm gonna fuck you up now. And he just whips out his sword and immediately incinerates him. And at this point, I was just like, thank Christ. Because, like, as we kept getting introduced to Stern Ritters, I was just like, there's 26 letters, aren't there? Are we going to have 26 characters? Like, there's a lot of characters. And the fact that he was just like, whoop. God, the animation of those fire, like, the flames and shit. I was like, oh my god, this is immaculate. And then he's like, all right, I'm on my mission from God. and he rockets off. Holy shit, Yamamoto looks so fucking cool. I'd forgotten that he had lost an arm. And so when he was like, I will take them all on with my hand. Shouldn't it be hands? And I was like, wait a minute, no, he means hand because he only has one of them. So that was cool.
I think they did Sasuke justice, which I was happy with. Just enough background where you're like, okay, good. He gave him some character. It's more Sasuke, and the death is more for the sake of Yamamoto. His character exists just for the fact to develop Yamamoto's character. Also, the visuals of when Byakuya is having that fear moment and he sees Rukia melt, I thought that was pretty cool too. Even when Yamamoto gets mad and he flies off in the ball of fire, saying like, I will protect every single one of you and destroy them by myself. And everybody's just like, oh, the captain's a little angry. I was like, this is fucking great.
Episode 6 of Thousand Year Blood War. This was fucking awesome, in my opinion. This was so cool.
Wasn't it fucking amazing, Joe? It was better. I had an idea what was going to happen. This is above and beyond anything I could have thought of. Holy shit.
The moment the episode starts up and we just see old man Yamamoto facing off against Yuhaba. They said it so many times in this episode show, it's now burned into my brain. I don't have to call him U-Haul anymore. But Yuhaba and Yamamoto, fuck, dude. He's holding Kenpachi, and then all of a sudden, it's just like, he's not holding Kenpachi anymore. And I could tell it was going to be something cool, because the way the camera moved to like shift the perspectives, I was just like, are we entering Sakuga territory? What? Oh my god, the fight show!
The flames!
Dude, the flames are so cool. They're so fucking cool. My favorite shot from this entire episode, like the flames start erupting out of Yamamoto's feet. You know, the Disney has their vault. I've got my own safe place for those images, so those go over there. Oh my god, it looks so fucking cool. I just want to talk epic shots with you. Like, there are so many awesome looking things in this. When they're in the beginning of their fight, they hop up onto the roof. Yuhaba, like, smacks down into the roof, and the tiles go flying up, and then they go flying towards Yamamoto, and then Yamamoto fucking, like, blazes through that shit and sends it flying on back. I was just like, what the fuck? This is, it's like, they have all items on, Joe. They're on Final Destination, but they kept the items on, and they're using them, and it's so cool.
I think Yamamoto's voice was great, and just like this commanding presence he had, and also just like all his lines, like it was just so merciless. It was like, look, I am ending this here and now, and you just have to accept it. I was just like, fuck, man, you are a tough motherfucker.
Which is all the more subversive when you realize it's not actually Yuhaba for most of the entirety of the fight. It's just Sternritter Y, the yourself, which is still a dumb name, but it was kind of cool because when he gets cut down later on, we're just going to jump all over the fucking episode here, but when he gets cut down at the end, I'm just like, well, this obviously isn't the end of him, so either this is a trick, or he's going to heal somehow. The imposing presence he has. The shot when he like appears behind Yamamoto after the yourself has been taken out, and he's just this massive black silhouette completely encompassing Yamamoto's silhouette. I was just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's the big daddy.
He is the big zaddy. I just want to quickly go over what Yamamoto can do with his Bankai, because up until this point, this is the first time I ever saw it. He has the 4 cardinal directions. He got north, east, south, west. The first one he uses is east, and that compresses all of his power into the tip of his blade, so anything it touches is fucking eviscerated. Law of conservation of what now? Get the fuck out of here. It is gone. We got west, which is where he just envelops himself in so much fire. There are so many flames circling around him. South. I think this is my favorite ability. He shoves it into the ground. He says he uses the flames of his sword to reawaken the ashes of his fallen enemies. It's awesome. And there might be some people who are like, oh, CG bad. Listen, I understand. I feel your pain. I know. But, I mean, what the fuck do you want them to do? It looks pretty cool still. I like it a little bit more because it's kind of unnerving how, like, all the fucking skeletons are moving and they're just like, and it's all, like, robotic and shit. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I like the use of CGI in this instance. Fuck you guys! The ability to just reawaken the corpses of your fallen enemies, that's... What? Are you kidding me? And the fact that Yuhaba has to try and, like, march through those guys and, like, crush them under the heels of his boots to get back to Yamamoto, I'm just like, oh, this is awesome! Actually, I'll just say what the North ability is, and then we'll bounce back to this. It's just a Kamehameha. It's a really powerful swing. That's all it is. Anyway, this episode does something so cool because it shows us the current battle going on, and we get flashes of the battle that I presume went on 1,000 years ago between the two of them. You don't get a whole lot of detail, not a whole lot of context. It does do a really great job of paralleling the two of them. I like looking at it from that context as is like the parallel of the two, because what in the past, Yuhaba got fucking got by Yamamoto. But now we flip back to this one, and Yuhaba is playing a completely different fucking game. Because after Yamamoto does the Kamehameha North stance, and then Yuhaba is revealed, and he's like, haha, fuck you, I was actually talking to Aizen. And then we see that he was talking to Aizen underneath the Squad 1 barracks, and you're just like, what the fuck? They don't actually end up talking about too much. Yuhaba is just like, hey, you want to join me? Aizen is just like, no. Yeah, I'm just going to leave you down here. And he's like, what? You don't want to try and kill me? Come on, bro. You know you want to kill me. And he's like, you're still fused with the Hogyoku. It'd take me too long. This suit is all completely white. I don't really want to, it's hard to fucking dry clean this shit. So, yeah, no, I'm just going to leave you. And Aizen's like, smart guy, smart guy. Then we end the episode with seemingly Yamamoto being utterly defeated because his Bankai is stolen by real Yuhaba. And then he gets cut down by the crazy bow and arrow sword that's all super glowy and looks dope as fuck. And in this entire episode, we get nothing of our normal crew. We don't even get Big Monkey Boy doing Big Monkey problems. I want to see what's going on with those Big Monkey problems, Joe. How are they going to resolve those Big Monkey problems?
What did you think about how they just utterly destroy Yamamoto? How did that make you feel about the situation we're in?
Like immense despair. I just witnessed, all the captains have their hope back because Yamamoto is going fucking balls to the wall. He's like, yeah, it is my time to shine, bitches. And shine he does. But, and then we see all this amazing power he has. Like, again, every single one of those abilities could be a Bankai unto itself. And he has all fucking 4 of them in one blade. Like, that's amazing. And then the fact that he was dealing with somebody who wasn't even the real one. And then the real one comes along and it's just like, hey, so, your Bankai's mine now. Fuck, man. I just want to start seeing some of these guys really start fighting back and winning.
What did you think of Aizen? Were you kind of caught off guard at all?
I think I was expecting it, but not expecting it. I was hoping for it. Because Aizen is such an integral player in this world. He was there from the beginning of, the Soul Society arc and all that sort of crap. And later retconned to be like, I was the one who established all this bullshit. I'm the one who did everything for you, Ichigo. And Ichigo's like, fuck you. But the fact that we're getting him in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, and he's interacting with one of the other major villains, cool. I really like that, and I don't think this would be the end of him, because there's no way you're just like, and we're going to hang this Chekhov's gun up on the wall, and then we're going to knock down the wall because this doesn't fucking matter. It's like, no, clearly you're setting up something there. I'm very interested to see where that goes, because it also makes everything feel so much more connected. It's like, yeah, we had the entire Aizen arc, and then we had the Fullbringer arc, which was its own thing. We didn't see anyone from that, and now we're back in Soul Society, so it makes sense that we would see Aizen again. Holy fuck. The beginning of this episode, Yamamoto is discernedly dead. Then Yuhaba pulls a Frieza and just fucking eviscerates his body with a single finger, and I'm just like, oh yeah, Yamamoto's gone. Touch on the music used in that part of the scene. There were 3 instances where music went hard, or not hard, but it just fit really fucking well. And then there were also moments where the sound design and the sound effects that they're using.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm sure you know
what you're Favorite moment. The whole episode. It's just that singular moment where he's up in the air and he goes, boom, and he's gone. Oh my god, I jumped out of my seat. I was like, they did not just do that.
Not there. Hold. Joe, we're still in November. You can't come until the end of November. Gotta hold it in. So the music in that, very well done. I liked it a whole lot. And then Yuhaba is just like, all right, time for us to go. And then we cut. Our boy finally gets to Soul Society. I was not prepared for the level of respect they were going to give to him with his introduction. There's a POV shot, Joe. We get a POV shot of him looking at the scientist dude who's trying to get him in there. Forgive me, I don't remember his name. Again, we've been over this. Too many names. And you look at the scientist man falls down. He's got all the fucking Stern Ritter stabby boys stuck in his back, and you look up and you see a Stern Ritter. And he's just like, who are you? Anyway, I'm Stern Ritter. And then the perspective shifts, so you're blasting towards this guy. He never says who he is. Thank you very much. I don't give a shit. What I care about is giving respect. And they do that because this man doesn't get another fucking word out before all of a sudden he blasts out of that fucking glass box. I wouldn't be surprised if he was eviscerated. I don't think that's turning Beerus around anymore. Ichigo drops off the body. He jumps up. It's just, he's silent. He hasn't said a fucking word. He's just taking it all in. And you never see his face. You're just seeing him from behind. You have no emotion. You can't see what his face is doing. And then this is one of those sound moments, Joe, when he disappears. And then everyone just goes, what the fuck? Because when he comes in, he's emanating this immense spiritual pressure and everyone notices. Yuhaba is just like, Ichigo Kurisaki's here. And then it disappears. And all the Sterners like, what the fuck? Where did he go? Cut to Byakuya. Byakuya's talking to him. I don't think Ichigo says a fucking word. He's just standing there in the rain. Byakuya is just talking, is Ruki okay? Is Renji okay? I'm a little fucked up at the moment. I really want to go to bed. I know you're a human. You don't really belong in this, but if you could just help out a little bit. And then the moment when we start just focusing on Ichigo in this conversation, they do something which I think is so fucking cool. I just love it because you can see how much the people working on this really do care. When the rain starts falling on him, and they just start one by one, the droplets start steaming. Until you start getting a bunch of, a wall of steam, and it starts swirling up because of all the energy surrounding him. And then we cut to Yuhaba, and Yuhaba's, all right, I wasn't prepared for this. We should probably get the fuck out of here. Takes one step. Immediately, Zangetsu lands in front of him, and he's just like, oh shit. And Ichigo is there, and he's just like, hey, did you do this? He starts being a little clever with him, and Ichigo's just like, shut the fuck up, did you do this? And then Yuhaba's just like, I mean, yeah, a little bit, mate. That kind of fucking did. What the fuck you gonna do about it, huh? Hey, little fucking bitch boy. And then we get some of the coolest imagery for Ichigo that I've ever seen. I've never seen him look this fucking menacing. And we've seen him as a goddamn hollow multiple times, Joe. Across the entire series, across the movies, across the hentais. Scratch that last one. It's incredible.
There's no other way to put it. He's fucking pissed. I wasn't ready for this. How do you do this after episode 6? Like, what the fuck? And we get the fight with Ichigo and Yuhaba, and the fight scenes are miraculous. The coolest thing was we kind of see Ichigo's his Quincy power, and we finally get the hint at his mom, and you see how fucking angry he looks.
He's angry and he's also confused. The fight in this one I don't think holds a candle to the fight between Yuhaba and Yamamoto. This one is much more, it's meant to be way more fast paced, and also I think this is just like the introduction. So I imagine they'll have fights many other times throughout the run of Thousand Year Blood War. It's very flashy. It's flashy in the sense that it is very showy, and also it's flashy because there's a bunch of flashing fucking lights. You have the blue of Yuhaba, you have the red of Ichigo, just how they separate them, and then of course Ichigo has a few other colors, which again drives me nuts because I like one unified thing, but I guess it works thematically considering that he's everything in one, as we officially find out in this episode with the hinting at his mother. The few bits that we do get to see between them clashing look sick, but again, I don't think it holds a candle to the fucking Yamamoto fight that we got last episode, because that had so much incredible animation. Also, Yuhaba is back to using his fucking dumb blade, and I still have a problem in my head where I'm just like, all these Quincy's have fucking swords. Like Pretty Boy, who's the lieutenant to Yuhaba, has a sword and uses it to chop Getsuga in half. I can't count how many times we've seen Ichigo's sword get cut in half. It's meant to be very oh my god, his sword is cut in half and he's devastated. No, the devastating thing was the fact that Ichigo very clearly lost to Yuhaba, and then he's like, oh, you don't even know your own family and your history and also this shit and your mother, and he's like, well, shut the fuck up about my family members, don't you dare start talking about my family to me. That's the devastating part. And then the Pretty Boy lieutenant cutting his sword in half is just at this point it means nothing to me. When you cut Getsuga in half, I'm just like, okay, it's in half again.
One thing we skipped over, I really want to know your opinions on this, is got introduced to some new characters in the beginning. Do you know who they are?
It's the original Gotai 13, the original squad captains. That's something really cool, because I like the idea of what Yuhaba is saying. You were all just a bunch of killers. That's what you were. And you've all gotten soft because you tried to become something else. Like, that's really cool, man. The main antagonist perspective. Yeah, you're all a bunch of fucking maniacs. You can't beat me because I've adopted your ways of just being a killer now, and you've, like, left them in the past. You were never going to beat me, Yamamoto. This guy's kind of cool!
We could spend the whole episode just talking about each character, but like obviously Yamamoto's in there. I'm not sure if you noticed, Rurika was in there with the eye patch on, or a version of her.
Wait, Fullbringer? Rurik? Wait, what?
Yes. It's supposed to be like either a descendant or like a different incarnation of her.
Oh.
So there's a lot of lore, trust me. Unohana.
I saw young Unohana in there. I did see that, so I was just like, okay, so she's been
Bro.
around for a while. There's that one panel of her face looking like a fucking horror poster. I have no context for this.
That's gonna be my favorite part when we get to that. Is this better than episode 6?
No, I don't think this is better than episode 6. I like episode 6 a lot because it conveys a history between Yamamoto and Yuhaba, and like it parallels the current fight that they have going on. And there's not a whole lot of just standing around and talking, which this episode does have. When he's expositing quite a bit. Oh, yes, when you were inside of the fucking Quincy jail, your body started to absorb this spiritual, like you were releasing so much spiritual energy that it was bouncing back and it was awakening something inside of you every time you fucking absorbed. You could have just said, we shouldn't have used the prison on him. That would be enough. I don't think we needed the whole explanation being like, ah, yes, because then it also like undermines, you don't know your own history, your mother. Anyway, gotta go by. I don't know. It's just, there's a lot of expositing and monologuing from Yuhaba, and I think quite a lot of it could just be nicked, cut out. So episode 8, Bleach 1000 Year Blood War. Fucking, we're hopping in. So first two things. Number 1, Unohana is getting real solid focus right now. And then second, Soifone is being a fucking cunt.
And you would be correct about both of those. Hey, look, you can like Soifun, that's fine. But it's like, oh my god, Soifun, you need to just calm the fuck down, all right? I would be pretty damn sad if old man Yama was dead, but he's being a bitch. Just a little development for Soifun. Yeah, she's being annoying. But Unohana, yes, takes a very big role this episode. And I loved every moment. I'm not sure if you noticed something. The healer in Squad Zero calls her Retsu. It's a different name than she normally goes by. It's normally Unohana something else instead of being Unohana Retsu. A little breadcrumb there.
It's fucking lore in this shit, baby. Before we get into Squad Zero, though, I just want to do, because the next thing I have on my fucking chronological list, Broken Bankai can't be fixed. And this is like directly in relation to what I said in the previous episode, where I was just like, they broke his sword again. Okay, it's this, they do this a bajillion fucking times. But I guess no one's ever broken a Bankai before in the series.
When you brought up the point of, not being sad about like his sword breaking, I bit my tongue.
You fucking knew.
I knew. And I was like, oh my god. We get a lot of Mayuri time, which I like kind of hearing him chit chat about how it's all broken down and everything. I love the bullshit magic / science of Bleach.
Cone now has a hologram in his fucking head. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Rolling it on back, Joe. Broken Bankai can't be fixed, except with like your own spiritual hoo-has and flamma ding dongs, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then they go, because they're being called to meet Squad Zero. When we go there and we see them land, and it's just a fucking big old tube that comes down from the heavens, I noticed something, Joe. This entrance of Squad Zero radically changes not only the tone, but the style of this episode going forward. Beginning of the episode, everything is overcast. All the rain clouds are there. It's downpouring because we just lost Old Man Yama. The Quincy's just fucked everyone up. Everyone is like either dead or incredibly damaged. We find out Byakuya and Kenpachi are still alive, but they are critically hurt. Ikaku is going ballistic, going like, no, he can't be fucking defeated. That's impossible. But so everything's overcast. Then you come out to the field, and like there's still a bunch of clouds around, and everything is like still lit like it's overcast. And then the sky tube comes blasting down. It blasts all the clouds away. Everything is just fucking bright. It looks like the original series with the coloring. And then you have all these characters coming out that are absolutely just a complete tonal shift 180 from the way everything was in the past like 6 or 7 episodes. So yeah, we're introduced to the 5 members of Squad Zero. Don't ask me their names. I don't know them yet.
It was pretty cool getting introduced to them, and we're going to get a lot of background moving forward in these next couple episodes. All I have to say is it's time to train, baby.
Fucking training arcs, boy! That was just something that I found very funny and like very cool because, like, again, we keep saying it time and time again. This adaptation, Studio Pierrot, is really putting in their all for this shit. This is like the best Studio Pierrot show I've ever seen. It's blowing my mind, like how much love they're putting into this, and the amount of detail like of that, where there's like, okay, everything's been real somber, so now we're going to snap out of that and do a complete 180. I have feelings on us switching from invasion genocide to now happy-go-lucky bullshittery, but I gotta say, the detail in them doing it still is amazing. Like, it's just so good. Moving on, all 5 of the Squad Zero members are just like, okay, we have the 3 injured people that we want, those being Rukia, Renji, and Byakuya. And then they also have Ichigo's Tensa Zangetsu. Then Kon runs in and is all like, and his forehead explodes open and a fucking hologram of Urahara and Orihime and Chad pop out. Side note about Kon, the fact that he like has no speaking lines, I hope they keep it like this.
Which is literally perfect. I liked it too. I was like, oh shit, it's Kon.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they handled that really well.
There's way too much Kon in the original series. He just shows up to be like a fucking device, which is exactly what he is. Great. Awesome. Don't let him talk. He's a fucking sex menace. But then we get the little fucking tease. You know, the episode ended, I went back because I was like, okay, now let me actually see this. You only see a very small portion of this person's body, but it's gotta be Grimjow. There's no fucking way it's not Grim. Like, it's got the whole thing, and he's wearing the pants. It's gotta be Grimjow. And I'm just like, holy shit. But that's not where this shit stops. This episode is just new characters, old characters, new characters, old characters. Here, look at this, look at that. And he punched you in the face, and they punched you in the nuts. And I don't know where I'm going with this metaphor anymore. But we get Grimjow. Then Ichigo is like, all right, I'll come with you guys in Squad Zero. Because they're like, can you fix my Bankai or whatever? And they're just like, we can't fix it, but we can like help you acquire new whatever the fuck you want to do. And he's like, all right, good enough for me, baby. Smash cut, Kukaku Shiba's return. We see her for the first time in I don't fucking know how long. We get her return. She fucking Team Rocket blasts them off with a fire fist, and the fucking sky tube goes up into the sky now instead of down into the sky. And then I was like, wait, hang on, because what the shit that happens next, this is still the same episode? Okay.
Yes.
This is a lot of information. So she's talking to, I assume her brother at this current moment, which is the fact that she's like, we can't like let our uncle down or he'd be disappointed or whatever the fuck. And then it shows what I believe to be Ishin Kurosaki from the back when he was a captain in the Soul Society. And she calls him uncle, which would imply that she and her brother are the cousins of Ichigo. And I was just like, oh shit. And then we also get the fucking, 3 of the main Fullbringers from the previous arc. She says she brought off the fucking Rukon district, and they go walking away with the brother. And I'm just like, oh my god, what the fuck is happening in this episode? Joe, there's so much. Ah!
Oh my god, when I saw the jacket, Joe, that was probably, I literally was like, let's fucking go! I was so hyped to see my boys.
We both just rewatched Fullbringer before we were doing this, and seeing that they're coming back, it just helps make everything feel so much more connected. We have Aizen still in here, we have the Fullbringers in here, we have fucking Kukaku Shiba is back, baby! And she has a familial tie to Ichigo. Like, oh my fuck! What is happening? It's so good. We do get to the Royal Palace, and we first go to Demon Hot Tub Man's place, and we just find out he's healing up everyone.
Did you watch the end credit scene?
Motherfuckers.
Joe.
Jesus Christ, I have to go in and fucking edit this shit. So he's awake.
Yes, okay.
Implying he's been sleeping?
So we get a good look, we get a cool look at his face. I love his design.
He's got the cross eyes, baby.
Squad Zero, there's stars on their back.
Oh shit. Interesting.
Joe, we weren't even supposed to get this episode. Can we talk about that for like 1 minute? Like, what the fuck happened?
Real quick, I don't know what the fuck was going on. Everyone on, you forgot the fucking people on the different websites that have all the places you need to go to, and you have the Twitters that are all just like, hey, so episode 8 and 9.
Official account said it.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're not getting episode 8 and 9 for like 3 weeks, and we were all just like, oh, that's sad. And then Hulu and Disney Plus were like, psych, bitch, we're Disney, we can do what the fuck we want, here's your Bleach already, baby! And we're just like, oh, that's kind of cool.
We got it before Japan!
We got Bleach before Japan! What?
We're living in a modern times, let me tell you.
I never, ever imagined we'd be getting an episode of Bleach in America before Japan. What kind of fucked up world is this? Episode 9, 1,000 Year Blood War. Here we go, baby. So remember how I said last time that Unohana was gonna get, she was getting a lot of focus? Yeah, she gets more in this one. She gets a lot more in this one.
Tell me about the big mommy Unohana. Tell me all about her.
Oh, I don't like when you call her Big Mommy Unohana. That makes me feel weird, Joe. First things first, Captain Shunsui is now head Captain Shunsui, baby.
Talk about that tension in that opening scene. I literally, when they cut to the opening song, I was like, damn, they did not just do that. Holy fuck, that was intense.
Shunsui is now head captain, which seems to make the most sense and also seems to be a very cool way to bring his character. I don't know what it is. It's just something that I really love about the character development, going from like the more carefree kind of like, yeah, I can kind of do whatever I want sort of a thing. I'm also very laid back. I do all this sort of shit. And then all of a sudden it's like you're now thrust into a position of immense power and responsibility. And he's just like, God damn it, I really didn't want to do this, but I am the best one for this, aren't I?
And he does not fuck around either.
Immediately, he goes to the fucking, it's the Soul Society Illuminati. He just goes in there and he's like, hey, so I'm going to appoint 2 lieutenants. And they're like, that's preposterous, I can't fucking, and he's just like, yeah, okay. But anyway, you said that we could do that, so we are.
It was cute because he's like, he didn't want to part with his lieutenant that much. He's like, we're going to have 2.
We're going to have 2 lieutenants. And then immediately he's just like, oh, and also I'm going to teach Kenpachi Zenjutsu. Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye. And everyone's just like, whoa, hey, no, hold the phone. Hey, no. We told Yamamoto, stop fucking teaching him Kido. You can't teach this man anything because he will become too powerful. And Shunsui is just like, yeah, but we got our asses. Did you not see what just happened in the previous 8 episodes? And they all looked at him like he was a fucking madman. And then he turned directly to camera and he was like, that's right, I know what the fuck I'm in, you fucking weebs. And then everyone sitting, I was sitting in my chair, Joe, and I was like, oh, Jesus, what the fuck is happening? And then he reached down, he kissed me. Anyway, he's also just like, yeah, so we're going to teach him Zanjutsu, which am I supposed to know what Zanjutsu is at this point?
No.
Okay, good. So then he's just like, oh, also, you can come in now. And then Unohana walks on in. And he's just like, so I'm going to have Unohana teach him. Or should I call you the first Kenpachi Unohana Yachiru? And I was just sitting here and I was like, what the fuck?
The fucking hype, bro. Oh my god, Joe, there's a lot of good stuff in this show. There is so much good stuff in the 1,000 Year Blood War. And it's crazy, like, I can imagine your perspective. All the stuff that we've gotten, I bet you were expecting that much in the full season. But we got that in 8 episodes. For me, this is it. This is my favorite part. It is so out of left field, done so well. Because I wanted your reaction, because I know you love Kenpachi, so I'm like, oh, fuck, how's he going to feel about Unohana? Like, I want to know. How you feeling?
I'm just loving it. Because, again, the adaptation is fucking incredible. This is the stuff that I enjoy a whole lot, because not only is it finally, we're starting to see development of characters that have been around for forever. It's doing the same thing as in, like, episode 6, where it was implying a history between like Yamamoto and Yuhaba, and this one is doing something similar, not exactly the same, where it's not like so much, there's implied history there, obviously, with Shunsui just being like the first Kenpachi, and then he says a whole different fucking name, and you're just like, oh, and then we come to learn who she actually was in the past. She was one of the first members, the Gotai 13, and she was a fucking criminal. This woman was a criminal? A little bit later on, we see, yeah, she's a bit of a fucking badass. So Shunsui is just like, all right, so no one else can tell me what the fuck to do. Unohana, Yachiro, you're going to go into the depths of the Soul Society of the Serete, and you're going to teach Kenpachi, or Zaraki, I should say, going to teach him this Zanjutsu thing. And I'm just like, what the fuck is Zanjutsu? We can't talk about that just now, Joe. We have to fucking cut away! Because now we're back up in the Soul Palace with Ichigo and Renji. The Hot Spring Demon is just like, all right, Ichigo, punch you, you're fine. Renji, punch you, yeah, you're fine. All right, time for you guys to go up. And they have a little moment when they just show how badass Ichigo is, because they're just like, oh, the springs were like burning my helpers. And then the guy is just like, yeah, and he also reflexively punched my fist. He even goes so far as to say, so this is why, like, I see why the Soul King is so interested in you, Ichigo. They get on to the next palace, which is the place where they meet the Grain King. And I was like, that's the Grain King? And it's like, yep, it's the Grain King. And I'm like, but tits. So they have a heart-to-heart where Ichigo's just like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know why he's got that voice now. He's just like, I don't know what I'm doing here. We're just eating a bunch of shit. And then she's like, we're gaining strength again. And Ichigo's like, oh, right, okay, never mind. Anyway, chubby pink-haired woman comes back out after she's made dessert, and all of a sudden she's bodacious and curvy and sexy woman. They're staring at her, and she's just talking and then staring and then talking and then staring and then talking. And they're just like, who the fuck are you? And she's just like, oh yeah, I'm fucking Falcon from My Hero Academia. I utilized all my power to make you guys the food. And I'm just like, gross. And we find out what that means later on. But in the moment, I was very much like, what are the implications? What? Anyway, so she seems pretty cool. And I'm not just saying that because of Tits Joe. And that is Cup of Joe guarantee. Anyway, so she's just like, also, I am the creator of the fucking soul pellet technology. Everyone in Squad Zero has irrevocably changed the soul society in some way, shape, or form. Oh, that's kind of cool, creating the soul pellet technology. That's insane. And then she's like, so now you're going to meet the next guy. Yeah, he created Zanpakuto toes. And immediately, I was just like, so you guys are on the same level? I feel like the creation of the Zanpakuto is a bit higher in the hierarchical structure of radically changing the soul society. But hey, I'm not here to judge. Whatever. She's probably only there because of tits. But anyway, I didn't say anything. So, Ichigo and Range get fucking blasted off to there. And then we finally get the confrontation between Zaraki and Unohana. And then we get the fucking manga panel that I never stop fucking seeing of Unohana.
Oh, Joe, I want you to describe what emotion that evoked in you.
What the emotion that it evoked in me? So imagine, if you will, you climb a big fucking mountain and you peer over the edge and you realize, oh shit, this is like beautiful, but also like if I lose my footing or if like a gust of wind comes, it'll just, I fall to my death. I fall and it's pretty for a second and then I am gone. When Unohana turned around and gave me that look, there was confusion, Joe, because part of me was like, run away, get the hide under a rock, go anywhere. And the other part of me was like, but what if I stay?
I describe it as the scary boner.
Yes, exactly. That's precisely what I was leaning towards. The fucking detail of this, where it's like, it's so dark, and like when they clash, all you get, it's like, it's not quite white and black. It's like got like a slight gold tinge to it. Love the aesthetic. I also love the attention to detail, where it's like, as far as I've ever known Unohana, her hairstyle has been the braid that's like under her chin into her clothing. In this, she's undone the hair. So now she fights and it's fucking wild. The braid's been covering up the fucking scar that Zaraki gave her all those years ago. It gets revealed that she has a scar from him, and his scar on his eye is from her, apparently. And the fight that ensues from them, there's a mystery to this. And a history. There's a mystery and a history, Joe. And it's, you can feel it. It's fucking palpable, baby. Especially because she stabs him through the neck. And she pulls it out, and Zaraki's just like, what? I'm back. Well, I don't have time to think about that. I'm just going to keep on fighting you. Classic Zaraki. Ha ha ha, classic Zaraki. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I am here for it. Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, episode 10. I liked a lot of it, and I'm really disliking another lot of it, but on a different side. Like, this episode is almost split perfectly down the center for me, of like shit that I enjoy and shit that I do not enjoy. Starting off with the good. We pick up battling between the two Kenpachis. You got Unohana, you got Zaraki. They're fucking duking it out in the basement of the Soul Society. They just walk down the steps, boom, there they are. They got the the spare fridge and the CCTV down there where they play Smash. Unohana is trying to teach him Zanjutsu. Zanjutsu is Shikai and Bankai. The battle between those two, awesome, pretty fucking great. We see a new Bankai from a character that we've never seen a Bankai for before. Unohana's Bankai. She grabs her blade, and in one of like, the fucking sickest shots, just starts dragging her hand, and the blood is trailing behind across the blade. And then it's just waterfalls of blood come pouring down from the sky, and the entire, everything is blood. Everything is blood. Very on point for someone who used to be a criminal who was like the master of all fucking arts in back in the day. Like, I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. She says, she's like, I'll keep killing you and bring you back until you reawaken, because we come to find out Zaraki's been like suppressing himself subconsciously so he can enjoy battle for hundreds of years. But how is she like bringing him back?
Supposed to be the keto, and it doesn't really get explained that much in the manga. Honestly, we got a little bit of it more here in the anime. The manga's even vaguer, but whole idea is that she has mastered keto so well that she can put someone on the verge of death, on the very, very edge, and then bring them back. And that's what she's been doing with Kenpachi. It's not necessarily the Bankai's or Shikai's effect. Oh boy, Joe, let me tell you, when I literally, this is the part where I was the loudest. Like when she just full, because I wasn't ready for it. Like she just full on goes Bon guy, and I was like, oh no, oh no. I was like, I was jumping up and down. I'm like, they're doing it, they're doing it. I'm like, because I knew it was happening, but like when it actually does happen, you're like, holy fuck. And it's I believe the name is Minazuki. God, it looked gorgeous. The fucking when she starts whipping those blood blades, like slicing everywhere. I'm like, oh god, I'm in heaven.
When she makes a fucking like the hamster ball out of the blood like swirling around her and they start lashing out at Kenpachi. The visuals of the fight are fucking incredible, like in almost everywhere. There's a part where Zaraki starts reawakening like some of his latent strength. It's the moment where he does a little footsie switch up. Unohana notices like something's changing in him, and like you just get a shot of Kenpachi's feet moving across the blood, up here, up here, up here, up here. He's like zigzagging across the blood, and then all of a sudden he slashes down in front of Unohana, and she's like, oh shit, he's waking up, baby. And that shit is just mwah, mwah. Oh, so good. So fucking good. The thing about this that I wasn't the biggest fan of is the fact that we have to keep interrupting the battle to then go back to the past to give greater context for certain things. I don't need this, I don't know about you, but I don't need this much, Joe, where it's just multiple scenes of them just in the past, and it's Unohana explaining and expositing the fuck out of the viewer. I got it when you started talking about it in the beginning, like you gave like a one-line thing being like, you because you wanted to preserve battle, you locked away your shit. That's it. That's all I need. I don't need you to keep on going and you just show me.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the flashbacks just because I didn't even think we were going to get them. There's a little bit of it in the manga, but very little. Like the fact that we even got a flashback fight, which it wasn't like a full-on fight. It was a lot of like stills. I enjoy it. I can never have enough of that stuff. And the stuff later on that we'll talk about, I still enjoyed it. But this first part, I felt it was the perfect amount of flashback.
Which then brings us to the inevitable conclusion of the fight, where Unohana dies by Kenpachi's hand. And she has this kind of poetic thing. She's very proud and at peace with having fulfilled her purpose, reawakening Kenpachi's power and being like, all right, I've done my part. Now go be a badass and murder a bunch of Nazi blue boys. All of a sudden, Zaraki hears a little voice coming from the darkness, and he's like, who the fuck are you? Well, the voice is just like, I've been with you for all this fucking time. And so obviously, it fucking cuts right before it's like, hello, Kenpachi Zaraki. My name is... Then we don't get to fucking hear the name of the Zanpakuto.
It was really cool, kind of, Kenpachi, the fact that he's a captain and he just doesn't know his sword's name. He's just that powerful. I think you have so much room to explore with giving him a Shikai, possible Bankai. I mean, he's going to learn the name now, so that's kind of the first stepping stone to, acquiring a Bankai, which you never know. You never know, Joe.
Now, we whisk ourselves up into the Soul Palace, and we see what's going on with Renji, we got Ichigo, and we got Kon. I guess it's just going to be traveling around with the rest of them.
It was fine. It was the proper amount of Kon. We get to meet Namaya, man.
The Blade God.
Yeah, Joe, how do you feel about him?
Okay, here we go. Okay, so we got Hot Spring Demon Boy, we got Big Spoon Girl, and now we got Blade God. I'm getting a little tired of the whiplash between darker, character-driven scenes that we get in, like, the first half of this shit, and then we immediately flop into the fucking, I'm doing wacky poses, I'm throwing up peace signs, going, oh yeah, and there's a bunch of bodacious babes on toes and Kon being a fucking pervert. I'm just like, I want to be invested in this thing. It's like the fucking, you're on stage and the little hook comes out from stage left, grabs you and fucking yanks you, and your hat is just left spinning on the stage before comically falling down to the ground. I'm not done though. I want to be in that world some more. And it just pisses me off when we ever get to shit like this, especially because some of the stuff that we find out in this, it has interesting implications. Blade God appears. He's like, hey, say hello to all the cool shit. And Kon is like, I'm gonna do a sex. And they're like, nope, everyone actually need to go to this shack. Okay, into the shack we go. Oh no, it's a big hole. Fall into the big hole. And he's like, all right, you have to fight all of these Asuchi, which are like the pre-larva form of Zanpakutos. All the Soul Reapers get one, and then like as you fight with it, when you're training, it imprints your soul upon it, and that's how you get your Zanpakuto. Bada bing, bada boom, baby. Ichigo has never had one, because he just acquired his Zanpakuto when he, got the powers from Rukia. And so as we come to find out, after spending 72 hours fighting with these things, Blade God is just like, all right, Renji, I will help you, I'll fix your shit. Ichigo, I can't. You are not a Soul Reaper, and since you don't have a Zanpakuto, you have no business being in the Soul Society anymore. And Ichigo's like, what the fuck? He fucking spirits away Ichigo back to the world of the living, says something very interesting where he's just like, you got to learn your roots first. And then even then, if you learn them, will you have the strength to return? And I'm just like, that's kind of tight as fuck, dude. I'd like to see that. That's not even in the episode proper. The episode proper ends with them in the hole and him just, Blade God just going like, all right, fight these guys. See you next episode. And then you get end credits where it's all this other shit happens where he's like, all right, I'll help you, Renji. Ichigo, you got to get the fuck out of here. Ichigo gets mad. He spirits him away. It's just such a weird edit. I would have been like, all right, have everything up to the point where Ichigo gets teleported in the episode, and then have the after credit scene be Ichigo realizing he's in front of his family clinic again. Like, that's what you put at the end. You don't put all of that shit at the end. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
I was like, I hope Joe watched the end credit scene this time. What I did like about this second part, well, I'll start with this, Nemaya. I could care less about him. I don't really think I find him annoying. A lot of people like him. I don't find him that cool. His harem's pretty cool. I kind of like how they skipped over the fight in the actual like little pit thing. I'm like, we don't need that. I'm like,
couldn't care less. Don't care.
Like, you don't need an episode of them training in the goddamn, like, oh my god, I would have lost my shit. What I like is when you hear him say you failed Ichigo, you think, oh, okay, but like he'll get another shot. No, you fucked up. You don't belong here. You're going home. You realize it like, oh fuck, like they actually sent him home. What the fuck's gonna happen? And now getting into a very, very important arc, Joe. The Everything But the Rain arc is a very, very well-known arc in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc.
The end of the core is coming up, and it seems like it's going to be something pretty special. And based on what you're saying about this Everything But the Rain bullshit, I'm excited, baby. So, starting it off, we get a little bit more of the Blade God and Renji. And Renji just being like, yo, dude, what you did Ichigo was kind of fucked up. And the Blade God being like, yo, dude, don't fuck with me. You felt it too. He wasn't one of us. And they're just being a little bit xenophobic, which is not a commentary on Japan or the Japanese people. But anyways, he was just like, all right. So I had to send him back, but you felt it too, right? You know, I can feel every single Asuchi that I've ever created. Even Kenpachi, you know, acquired a fucking blade from another person that I forged. And Renji's just like, oh, okay. And the audience is also like, oh, okay. So Ichigo, he's got to go on a spirit quest. He's got to go on a historic journey. And then he's got to come to terms with that past of his. This could even be the secret origins, Joe. Make it a comic. Imagine that if Bleach was, instead of being animation on a screen, if it was a combination of images and text on physical pages. How incredible would that be? But nothing like that exists anyway, so we're going to move on. So Ichigo is back in the world of the living, and his dad pops out and he's like, hey, my son, it's been like 17 years. I haven't fucking seen you at all. Ichigo's gone. Like a ghost in the wind. And turns out he's gone back. And now I didn't write down her actual name, but I did write down what it says on her shirt, because you cannot look away from that word on her shirt, because it is such a good word, and for no other reason of where that word is placed. We find Unagi lady,
yes.
Which is
it's
Eel.
His boss.
Yeah, it's his boss. It's his work boss. He's stripping down in her place. He's getting naked and wet. He's taking a shower. You fucks. Why to stop?
I almost spit my drink out.
He's very lost right now, clearly, because he fought some weird amalgamation dude who looked like Kevin fucking 11, and then he was imprisoned in a fucking Pokeball, and then he finally gets to where he's going, and now it's just fucking death and carnage all over him, and like the place that he called a second home has been destroyed, and all of his friends are injured, and then his fucking Bankai is broken, and then he gets like the hope of like, hey, we can fix that shit, and the guy who's like, I can fix that shit is all like, I'm not gonna fix your shit. Also, get the fuck out of here. So he's going through a little bit right now. Ichigo's in a bit of a mood. We finally get the backstory of Isshin Shiba. And this was kind of cool. I enjoyed it. I always love pre-Ichigo, but like not like super ancient past, but like when we were introduced to like younger Aizen and like the Vizards back in the day before they became holified by Aizen. I always loved those episodes. Like getting the backstory of the Soul Society is always so fucking cool, and just seeing how all these characters interacted. Turns out his dad was the captain of Squad 10.
It makes sense him being on that squad, doesn't it? It makes sense being with them. I feel like his personality fits so well with the dynamic of Rankiku and Toshiro. Like,
oh yeah,
if I had to guess which squad he was on, this is what I would have picked.
Yeah, we see what he's doing there. He's getting some reports. Turns out some people are dying out in the world of the living, and he's like, I'm gonna go investigate this shit. Gets to the world of the living. 2 of the Soul Reapers get got. And he's just like, what the fuck? And a figure appears behind him, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And it's a goddamn black hollow, who was ironically named White, but this hollow, visually, aside from being like almost fully black, is very special for another reason, which I'll get into a little bit, because now that we're in the world of living, we got a fucking smash cut, camera pan over to Misaki Kurosaki. Turns out she's something called a etch or ek Quincy, and she's living with, this was a fucking surprise to me, Ryukin Ishida, Uryu's father. And I was just like, what the fuck? I guess it makes sense because like there aren't that many Quincy's left after the whole genocide shit, but I'd never imagined that she would be a part of that whole dynamic. So that's like an interesting little wrinkle he's thrown in there. You get a little bit of like back and forth between her and Ryukin. I kind of like he's not so set in stone. It's just fun seeing him a little bit more loosey-goosey. There's also another character there that we meet. Again, I don't remember her name. It's the servant character, the maid character, whatever her name is. The moment she turned to him, I could tell, I was like, is there a bit of chemistry here or something? I don't really know what's going on. I could also tell, I was looking at her eyes and I was like, oh, she's got this is Uryu's mother, isn't it? And we don't know yet.
I can't say anything.
You can't say anything. We don't know yet. But when it's Uryu's mother, we fucking know it's Uryu's mother. It adds layers to him in a way that I wasn't expecting ever to get characterization from Uryu's dad. So I was just very much like, oh, this is very cool. I like this. Smash cut back to the fight that's going on. Ishin is trying to really hold his own. Aizen and his lackey gang appear. And they slash him in the back and they're fucking him up. And he's just like, oh shit. Misaki feels a spiritual pressure happening. So does Ryukin, because again, they're both these etch or ek Quincy's, whatever the fuck they are. And Ryukin at first is like, hey, no, we don't go out while the Soul Reapers are out. You gotta wait till they're dead. And she's just like, I ain't about that. It's either I do something now or I will regret it for the rest of my life. Spider-Man would fucking love this chick. That's all I'm saying. So she fucks off. She's like, I gotta go see what the fuck's going on. Gets out there, sees what's happening. The Black Hollow, ironically named White, sees her, and she's just like, hey, come get a piece of this, big boy. And the Hollow's just like, and he fucking yeets himself down there. At this point, I was like, what the fuck is that? And he bites into her. While this thing is like currently chomping down on her, she's just like, oh, cool, you're really close by. Bang, and she fucking blows its head off. And I'm just like, whoa, what the fuck? That's so cool. And then the thing dies, but not before exploding. And then Ishin meets Misaki, and Misaki introduces herself, and she's like, oh no, I'm a Quincy. Is he gonna not like that? And then Ishin, being Ishin, is just absolutely the fucking Chad lad. And he's like, I've never met a Quincy before. This is fucking dope. Awesome. Can you heal me now? I'm in a lot of pain. That's the meeting of them. And then, in the end, we're in a little lab with Aizen and again his entourage. And they're just like, man, this guy was so close. This guy being the Black Hollow, again, ironically named White. You're so fucking close. He like was in this like whatever stage of development, and now it's done. He's passed it on to whatever the fuck. And I was like, wait a minute. Rewind. Zoom. Enhance. And I was like, what the fuck did you just say? I was thinking about this. I was like, I understand where Ichigo kind of gets his hollow powers from. And then the thing that really made me very curious as to what the fuck was going on, which I said we'd get back to, is the fucking look of this hollow. It looks exactly like Ichigo does when he turns into a fucking hollow. It even has the same fucking horn Ceroblast. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Aizen, which again, connecting it back to fucking the Wako Mundo arc, where he says to Ichigo, he's just like, I have been instrumental in every aspect of your life, even your fucking conception. He doesn't say that, but it's like implied that everything that he's done has been pulling the strings of Ichigo in some way or form. This reveal, this weird hollow experiment, again, the Black Hollow, ironically named White, passed its power onto Misaki. And so that's inside of her now. And so clearly, she passed that onto Ichigo, because Ichigo is inside of her because this is a baby. So this is where all the fucking pieces are starting to fall into place. And the episode has credits, and then we get a little bit afterwards where it's just Uryu in the rain looking like a fucking My Chemical Romance fan. But then, there's the pretty boy Sternritter there. And Uryu is crying. Or it's the rain, we can't really tell, but I'm pretty sure it's crying. It's symbolic, it's symbolism. And I'm just like, oh no. This is the choice that Uryu is going to have to make. Who is he going to side with, and what is he going to do? Joe, I know you said last time that we talked that this was a mega importante, but I gotta say, I had expectations. I am whelmed and even slightly overwhelmed with this. I am big fan, me likey.
Joe, this is considered one of the greatest flashback arcs in all of manga. Like, this is a legendary arc. Obviously, it's not over yet. We still have 2 more episodes, or I guess the big special.
Yeah.
And this thing, oh my god, they got it right. I was so nervous to watch this. And when you sent me the fucking okay hand, I'm like, oh, he loved it. He fucking loved it. That's all I needed to know, and I knew you loved it. So
hell yeah, dude.
It was great. It was everything I could ask for. It hit all the points. It wasn't overwhelming. And isn't it crazy? Barely any of it was Ichigo. It's phenomenal. I cannot wait for this final special. I love the little tease with Uryu at the end. And also the beginning with Renji and Namaya. Namaya came back for me a little bit with that beginning. I like him a lot more now. Kind of the way with how serious he was in that. I thought that was actually a really good close to that kind of like tiny little story.
Bleach, Core 1 finale, episode 12 and 13. We start off with Everything But the Rain, June Truth, and it is, as you might expect, just a complete continuation from the previous episode, bringing us in. We're seeing everyone, we're seeing Masaki, we're seeing Ishin. I love how it starts off where Ishin is clearly liked by Yamamoto, because Yamamoto's just rattling off all the all the fucking rules that he broke. In my head, I'm like, he's about to get a big scolding from head teach. Yamamoto is just like, but you did save quite a few people, so you know what? I'm gonna let this slide. And he's just like, oh, thank you, Captain Yamamoto. And he's just like,
everybody
yeah, okay.
loves Ishin. He's just the fucking man.
He really is. He seems like the most personable captain to be around. Could you imagine trying to hang around with Byakuya? Could you fucking imagine being like, hey, Byakuya, you want to go get some drinks? And he's like...
I mean, maybe Shunsui. Shunsui seems kind of chill.
So Ishin is just daydreaming, and he's like, I wonder what happened to that chick. I should probably go and like thank her properly at some point. And of course, we then cut back to regular world, and we see Masaki just going through school, and then she's leaving. And then something happens, Joe, that I'm kind of like, I could really like this, but it's not set up properly. Because Masaki, on her way home, she's talking with her girly girls. They're having a little bit of fun, like, ooh, you banging Ryuku, whatever. And she's like, no, we're going to be family. And they're like, this is an anime. That could totally happen. And she's like, I know. But incest tag is not on this anime, so that whoop, out the window that goes. And Masaki bumps into Urahara. And of course, she doesn't know who the fuck he is. We, of course, know who the fuck he is. But it's at this moment she starts feeling something happening. Clearly, she's being affected from the fight that happened the night before, after the Black Hollow, that is ironically named White, ends up biting her and passing on, as Aizen says, whatever fucking holification power he's got going on in there into her. Something's happening to her. Of course, someone dealing with the holification would be noticed by Urahara. But the fact that he just kind of, by the grace of God, bumps into her on the fucking sidewalk at that very moment that she's beginning this, like, transformation, and then he's like, oh, what the fuck was that I just felt out of this random school child? It's not that big of a deal, grand scheme, but, you know, I would just love it if it was something along the lines of, like, maybe Urahara took notice that there was some whack shit going on the last couple of nights, and so he witnessed Ishin fighting Black Hollow, ironically named White, and then he witnessed that thing bite into Masaki, and then he was like, oh shit, I don't really know what's going on here, but I don't think that was normal, and maybe I should keep tabs on her.
I interpreted it as that Kisuke knew what happened, and he was kind of like keeping an eye on what happened, and like he's like, all right, let me go check out what's happening. But really, he knew who Masaki was and did it on purpose.
Right. That's what I would like to interpret it as. The problem with that is we are given fucking nothing to clarify that. Like, there's no scene in the previous episode where he's like watching from the shadows.
This is just all comes down to interpretation again, just nitpicky stuff. But this also gets back to the fact of like, oh, everything happens in Karakura Town. You know what I mean?
Sure. And I would have loved it if it was like, no, I've been watching from a distance. But again, he just doesn't fucking say that. It's like literally something like that could have helped so much with this. But anyway, so Masaki is she's going through a rough patch right now. She comes home. Mama Ishida is just like, hey, you got out and help a Soul Reaper last night? And she's like, no. And she's like, don't you fucking lie to me. We're fucking racists in this household, and I will raise you no differently. Ryu is immediately like, oh shit, Katagiri. And he goes in there and he fucking slams her against the wall. And that little, not the incest tag, but the little hentai tag is coming back. It's like peeping on in. And everyone's like, get the fuck out of here. It's not that kind of show yet. I told you nothing happened last night. You were supposed to keep this on the DL, girl. What the fuck are you doing? And she was very adamant, being like, okay, no, she got attacked by a weird ass hollow. We need your parents to help her in case anything happens. And of course, you know, speak of the devil, she fucking collapses and a goddamn hollow hole erupts in her chest with like pulsating veins and shit. And you're just like, oh shit. So Ryu is immediately just like, all right, grabbing her, leaving, bouncing out of here. So he's kind of like flying around, and then he's about to get attacked by a hollow. Ishin pops up because he's all like, hey, I'm here to give my thanks to that teenage girl who saved me a little while ago. And he's like, fuck you, it's because of you that she's like this. And he's like, what? And their head flops down, and he's like, oh shit, okay. And then Urahara, God bless him, he comes in, he's like, all right, everyone shut the fuck up, follow me right now. And they're just like, we have no better option going on. So we learn Quincy, Masaki, that's what she is, she's a Quincy. Her Quincy powers are fusing with the Hollow powers. So to counteract that, she needs to be tethered to someone who is both human and Soul Reaper, because human counteracts Hollow, and Soul Reaper counteracts Quincy. So, Ryukin, he can't do anything, and he is told flat out by Urahara, you're useless here, dude. We can't utilize you. Ishin, however, you are Soul Reaper, and I have a Giga that's also part human that I made over here in the back. Don't ask me when I made it, it doesn't fucking matter. But if we combine you with this, you will lose literally everything about you being a Soul Reaper. You won't be able to see hollows, you won't have any of your powers back, and you'll be tethered to this girl for the rest of your goddamn life. But you'll help her. Like, you'll keep her at a neutral state, so she can't ever go back to the way she was, but she will be okay. And he's just like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I love the reaction from Ryukin and even Urahara, because both of them, Ryukin, very much like Uryu, stick up his ass, pessimistic, wouldn't believe ever that someone would give up that much just for someone they barely even know. And immediately Ishin is just like, I'll do it. Like, of course I'll do it. This girl saved my life. If I denied paying that back because I wanted to keep my Soul Reaper powers, I'd be a complete asshole. Obviously I'm gonna miss them, but this is the right choice. This is the only choice in my opinion. So he gets put into the Gigai, and then you catch up with like everything from like the flashback pretty much up to present.
Some people have pointed this out, and I didn't think of it, but Ichigo's original Bankai is basically how quick he is, right? He's like crazy fast. And if you remember, White's traits was that he was crazy fast too, all in black. So a lot of people are hypothesizing that Ichigo's Bankai, the effects of it, came from White.
That's so fucking cool, especially because later on we find out the way the powers fuse and everything like that. They get explained in episode 13. We'll get to that because that is fuck, dude. That's cool as hell. And then he tells us about Masaki on the day she died. End of episode 12, first part of the finale, we get the little explanation of what happened to both Uryu and Ichigo's mothers. Turns out, Ichigo's mother died 9 years ago, and if you've been paying attention at all to the fucking Quincy King bullshit, 900 years, he regained his pulse, 90 years, he regained his mind, or whatever the fuck, 9 years strength, blah, 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 blah. So 9 years ago, the Quincy King basically just rescinded all of the Quincy powers from those he deemed unworthy to be holding them. And so obviously Masaki being completely tainted by this weird holified creature, whatever the fuck it was, he was like, nope, mine now. And then I think the explanation for why Uryu's mother was like revoked of her Quincy powers was because she was frail and weak. And he was like, you have no place in my army. So he just took them away. And I guess she died from being a frail bitch. And then Ichigo's mom died because she was fighting Grand Fisher. And I don't have powers anymore. You're getting stabbed by a goddamn fingernail. And now Ichigo is fucking pissed and determined. Like, you can see, I love the fucking facial expression that he has, where it's just the hatching lines that, motherfucker, that was a goddamn manga panel right there. But he just raises his head and he just says to his father, he's like, thank you for telling me. Now I know what I need to know. He goes outside and the episode ends, leading us in, finally, to episode 13, the finale of Core 1. Mira appears, and she's like, hey, Ichigo, we're bringing you, you're going back. And he's like, sweet, because he didn't have any other way to get back to Soul Society. But so he appears there, and Blade Guy's just like, hey, you get it now. Have at it, take your pick. I get the impression he wasn't really expecting this, Blade God that is, because as Ichigo turns around to face all the Asuchis, they all start like kneeling to him as he's walking through them, and they change to like different black forms, like instead of being gray or whatever, they like fade to black. And then he finds the one, it's the thing in the fucking OP, where he holds out his hand, and the Asuchi brings his hand up and meets his, and as he grabs it, it starts to peel into white, and it's got the fucking hollow mask on it, and I'm like, that
cool as fuck, right?
It's
cool
like,
as fuck.
It's such cool imagery. It's so good.
Oh,
and
fucking cool.
It's so good. Great imagery. Love it. Cut away from that real quick because we're going to see Toshiro, the 69 face tattoo guy, Miori, Suifone, Komamura, all these guys, all doing their own training. A lot of them obviously had their Bankai stolen. Some of them are trying to train up to get Bankai.
Or their lieutenant. Yeah, trying to train their lieutenants. A lot of the captains are like, look, mine didn't get stolen. Or like, hey, I'm all right, but we got to make sure if something happens to me, you can step up.
Yeah, all of you are the insurance policies.
Seeing the other visored put on her mask, because obviously the captain is also visored or whatever, kind of throw on the mask. I was like, whoa! I'm like, fuck! I'm like, I wanted to see more hollow mask.
And then we cut back to Ichigo and the Blade God, and we actually get to see the real quote-unquote forge, and it's very cool. It's very simplistic in its design. It's just a big open room, but it's lower than sea level, and then you got the sea pouring in through all these different caves in the wall. Blade God introduces his bodyguards. So he's speaking to Ichigo, and he's just telling him a little bit, just being like, hey, so you realize Zangetsu isn't actually Zangetsu, and this is where it gets a little fuzzy for me. Turns out the image of Zangetsu that we've been seeing, the guy with the long hair, long black cloak, a little bit of stubble, weird Gurren Lagann sunglasses, that is Yhwach from like 1,000 years ago. And this, as he says, he is the source of Ichigo's Quincy powers. And so it is revealed, I've tried to suppress your actual Soul Reaper powers this entire time. Anytime that you've been in a pickle, the part of you that saved you has never been me, it's been the hollow side of you. Zangetsu is just, I gave you Quincy power in order to help fuel your overall power so you could then beat other people. All this time, I've been trying not to make you a Soul Reaper, but you keep going down that fucking path. And at this point, I'm not even, like, I know I can't stop you, so I'm just trying to help you in any way that I can, because I'm not really your enemy, but I'm also not really your ally. I'm kind of like a father figure who's been with you, watching you grow all this time. It gets very emotional very quickly, and I'm just like, oh god, what the fuck is happening? And then Zangetsu just starts vanishing. He starts dissolving away because he's like, yeah, I am no more. I am the old Zangetsu, kind of, also Yhwach. Very confusing still. This, and he draws a giant fucking blue sword thing. He's like, this is your true power. I am going now. All the power you've been using up to this point, as far as Soul Reaper power, has been the fragments of Soul Reaper power that I haven't been able to suppress. So now, here is your full power as a Soul Reaper. Take it. And he completely dissolves away. And I'm just sitting here, like, thinking in my head, the fucking meme, this is only 1% of my power. And I was like, did Kubo really just do that to us for over 300 goddamn episodes?
He might have. He might have.
I loved it. All the visuals from the black and white inner world with like the magenta overtones.
It's so good to see that. Like, it's been so long since we've been there, and to see it in the modern art, I loved it.
Yeah, Ichigo's inner world looks amazing. The lighting from both the blue sword and the different magenta touches, because obviously the magenta is the Soul Reaper side of him, the blue is the Quincy side of him. Amazing. And of course, as this music is swelling and Ichigo's grasping his own power for the first time, he grabs the unforged blade in the forge. He just pumps them, as Blade God says, full of his... That hentai tag was coming in there for a second. It almost got there. I swept it away. Full of spiritual pressure. That's what he pumps them full of. And his power evaporates the fucking sea around them. We get the big manga panel reveal in the anime of Ichigo holding the two swords of his true Zanpakuto. You know, the harem is just so like, oh my god, he's got two Zanpakuto, what the fuck? Funnily parallels, you know, when Rukia is just like, holy shit, that's a big Zanpakuto when he first gets his Soul Reaper powers. The two Zanpakuto represent his hollow and his Quincy powers, because when they dissolve and he's talking about them, the one side is like the hollow side, and the one side like shows the Zangetsu Yhwach, whatever the fuck it is. But the swords are still Zangetsu, because that's, I think, is what he calls. I don't really know. Give me your perspective on some of this shit.
In order to really, really, really fully understand the Quincy stuff, we have to get Yhwach's background story, which you're not going to get for a little while, but there is a lot more to it. The way I think of it, Joe, is he's a Soul Reaper, right? But he has both Hollow and Quincy powers within him. You know, his one side represents Soul Reaper mixed with Hollow, and the other Soul Reaper mixed with Quincy. It's a lot. It looked phenomenal. I loved every single second of it. I couldn't ask for anything more. But there is one tiny little thing we need to talk about. Very end, Joe. We see a little something. We get a little, post-credit scene. And what happened in it?
We finally return to the weird in-between dimension where Yhwach has been banished to. The pretty boy, Sternritter, has returned, and of course, he's returned with our good boy, Uryu. Uryu has joined the Wanderreich. I'm not totally convinced he's like drank the Kool-Aid and he's fully like, oh yeah, I'm totally a part of this guy crew because I hate the Soul Reapers and all that sort of stuff. I don't think he's there yet. I'm curious to see if he has a longer game at play here, which I'm assuming is what's going on with him, because knowing Uryu, he's always thinking many steps ahead. Or is it something where he's going to be like corrupted over a period of time and end up becoming much more like the other Stern Ritters that we've seen? It is very intriguing to say the least. Anyway, thinking back to where we started in the beginning of Core 1 to where we are now, oh my, like the amount of ground we've covered, the animation quality of everything, the storytelling that's been on display, the attention to detail, and the amount of care that's been put into this. To everyone at Studio Piero, to Kubo, everyone else that's worked on this thing, fucking bravo, dude. It's incredible.
I think to myself, only one thing. Bleach sluts for life.
Fucking Bleach sluts for life, baby. Oh, would you look at that? It's Joe from the beginning of this video. If you're hearing this, it means you made it through the entirety of our 1000 Year Blood War compilation podcast, which, thank you for doing so. Maybe leave a like, a subscribe, a little present under Joe's Christmas tree. Oh, wait, it's not Christmas anymore. Oh, fuck. But sincerely, thank you for listening to this pair of Bleach sluts talk about a show they love way too much for way too long of a time. We hope you guys enjoyed the show just as much as we did. With all that being said, one final time for Core 1 of 1000 Year Blood War. We'll love you, we'll leave you, and goodbye. Mwah.